Is like a box of chocolates. I'm here in Savannah, Georgia, near the Forrest Gump bench. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. You're going to get phone calls, you're going to get bad Wi-Fi, you're going to get a lot of things. But life is also like a box of Teneo, is it not? So this is where, in beautiful Savannah here, is where Forrest Gump sat on the bench waiting for the bus, which really doesn't run here, and the traffic went in two directions in the movie. It only goes in one direction. But it is beautiful Savannah. Of course, that's where the Imran 1 UAE diplomatic containers get diverted to from South Carolina. I just wanted to give everybody a setting of where you are. So yeah, it's beautiful Savannah. And why do I say life is like a box of Teneo instead of like a box of chocolates? Well, it helps you understand the whole situation. Now, you may have seen last night, and I'll have to cut this to this part, Glenn Beck did a real good overview, and he emphasized a lot of things in an hour and a half with 10 whiteboards and a lot of complication, right? But he talked about Kolomoisky, he talked about Burisma, and he talked about CrowdStrike, and I encourage everybody to go out and see that. What I'm going to give you is the box of chocolates version, or the box of Teneo version today, which is for a 5-year-old, or maybe a 7-year-old. So today, it's going to be life is like a box of Teneo. Instead of you never know what you're going to get, it's going to be life is like a box of Teneo. You never know what Blackberry you're going to get. I'll explain why you know when you come to the Teneo, you don't know what Blackberry you're going to get. And it's really true. When you come to Teneo here, now why do they call it Teneo first of all? Here we are in Savannah. Remember Imran 1 with the diverted containers not too far from here at the Port of Savannah. My 4th trip trying to find these containers, trying to find the information. But let's just call this the Teneo tree. Let's just call this beautiful tree here. These trees are very old, right? Let's just call this the Teneo tree. You can see the rope on that Teneo tree. And if we were going to meet somebody, let's say we're going to meet Leonid Vindman, or we're going to meet Devin Archer, or we're going to meet Hunter Biden, or we're going to meet Huma Abedin, or let's say I'm Huma Abedin and I'm meeting, we can say meet under the Teneo tree. So just play along with that life is like Teneo. And the reason it is we meet under the Teneo tree, okay? Now Teneo, you may remember from Uranium 1, 10X and Teneo, the export company was 10X, and then Teneo was the American company, and how that's all behind Uranium 1 and all that. Don't worry about that right now. We're gonna do the 5-year-old version right now. Maybe a little bit older than that, it's a 9-year-old version. So if you don't want to pay for Blaze TV, if you don't want to sit down for the hour-and-a-half discussion, if you just want the 5-year-old version, how do I understand all this? This Burisma and Hunter Biden and Devin Archer and Alan Apter and, you know, Dmitry Alperovich, all these names. We're going to first start with Teneo. You got to get Teneo. You got to get the fact that I'm going to take all the things I know about in the State Department on the 7th floor, if you're Hillary Clinton and Doug Band, if you remember him. You're going to create a server with Huma Abedin, and you're going to have it sync up with Anthony Weiner's laptop, and you're going to exfiltrate that out of the State Department. You can't, once you get that information off the 7th floor, have it on the 7th floor, once you get that, and I made a lot of videos, once you get that information out of there, you can't just say, hey, we're U.S. State Department private. We're private U.S. State Department. We're selling all the secrets. You can't do that. So you need to come up with a catchy phrase, no more than 5 letters long. That's your rule when you're coming up with your company name. And wouldn't it be great if it was the same verb, to grab, like tener? 5 letters, like 5 letters, Teneo, right? And then we could have 10X, we could have variations of Teneo for different things that we're going to do. If we're going to do Uranium 1, we'll have 10X for our Russians, okay? So let's just start with that baseline. You got to start with life is like a box of Teneo, okay? And let's just call this little square here, with Forrest Gump square, let's just call that Teneo. This is our little Teneo company here, all right? So I hope we all got that. That's not too challenging, okay? Now we're all 5-year-olds, let's say we're 7-year-olds. And when I was 7, they had an afternoon nap. 3-year-old. Maybe it was, so maybe I'm explaining this for 3-year-olds. But each of us had a cup, right? So, or if you don't like this analogy, you can do the office analogy with the coffee cups. So let's do coffee cups. But every office has an office with coffee cups, and every office has somebody who uses somebody else's coffee cup when they shouldn't, right? So I've taken the liberty of creating a Teneo coffee station here. It's gonna be the Blackberry station, all right? And there's your coffee cups down there, right? That's got Huma, because remember Huma, and this again is not speculation. Remember Doug Band sends an email to Huma saying, you've got 50 email addresses for 50 Blackberries. What's going on? Right? You've got 50 email addresses for 50 Blackberries. What's going on? Well, this is the box. This is the box. This is the box at Teneo, and life is like a box at Teneo. You never know what Blackberry you're gonna get. So instead of thinking about the different coffee cups, think about this as my box of Blackberries, and I'm Huma, and I have to give these out when people go on missions overseas. Illegal Teneo missions like selling 20% of our US uranium to Iran. We have to get all this yellow cake, centrifuges, all these scientists, all this piping, over to Iran, but we have to do it surreptitiously. We're going to need a Farsi-speaking trucking company, I can tell you that right now. But let's not worry about the Teneo office over by Transport Logistics in Maryland. Let's just think about Teneo and the coffee cups, and how the coffee cups and the Blackberries, as we've always said, link everyone together, do they not? They link everyone together, do they not? Okay, so let's start with our first coffee cup. First of all, let me get my coffee out of there so that I can keep my coffee. I'll have a cup. Whose cup do I have? Life is like a box of Teneo. Which Blackberry did I get? Oh, I got Huma's. I got my Muslim sister. I got my Muslim sister's coffee. So everybody gets that. Huma's in charge of all the Blackberries, the 50 Blackberries, okay? And the coffee cups are gonna be like Blackberries, because I couldn't get Blackberries this morning, okay? So maybe Huma does know what Blackberry she's gonna get, because she put her name on her cup. So let's just go with the first name on the first cup. I don't know if everybody can see that or not, but that's Hunter. Hunter's gonna get a Blackberry at Teneo. Now you're saying, whoa, George. We all know that Huma Abedin worked for 4 different companies. Oh, the beautiful church bells here in Savannah. We all know that Huma worked for Teneo. She had the State Department job. She was making money at the State Department and Teneo at the same time. We all know about that. But wait a minute, you're connecting Hunter Biden to Teneo? What? Hunter Biden to Teneo? Well, it shows you what great research will do. Because I'll connect Hunter Biden to Teneo in a legal case, not speculation. In a legal case in New York. Whoop, not good. Sorry about that. For Devin. Devin, this is your cup. This is your Blackberry at Teneo here this morning. Devin Archer. So how does the Devin Archer case in New York for defrauding the Ogallala Sioux Indian Nation and 10 different unions, including the Teamsters, how does that have anything to do with connecting Hunter Biden to Teneo? Well, let me tell you something. From that case, there is something called the Hunter Biden Teneo slide deck. The Hunter Biden Teneo slide deck. And in that slide deck, which was a presentation of Burnham and Associates, I've been to Burnham's offices. Guess who was going to be the executive vice president of this new company that Teneo was proposing? Well, it was Devin Archer, and Devin Archer's lawyer was so good as to mention how much a part of our story Hunter Biden was at Teneo. That connects Hunter Biden. So when I connect the dots here, I'm going to put the cups together. It's tricky. That connects Hunter Biden with Devin Archer at Teneo. See what I did there? I put the cups together to signify that they're together in a company together, Teneo. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put my Huma coffee cup, my Huma Teneo coffee cup inside those two to show you that Huma is doing the Blackberries for Hunter and Devin. So far we got the fact now, which I think is missing in the Glenn Beck presentation. He's missing the Teneo piece that links everything together. Because you're gonna see a lot of new people that are gonna really surprise you when I put all the coffee cups together. But that's the baseline we got. Huma has a box of Teneo, and you never know which Blackberry you're gonna get. And one of my Blackberries just blew away, so we'll figure out which one that is. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put all the coffee cups together to see who all's in Teneo. It's just that easy. So maybe this is more like a first-year intern's analogy, okay? So remember, we got Huma with her Blackberries. We know that there's a box of Teneo. There's 50 of them. Doug Band said so, right? There's 50 of them. We know that Hunter has one. We know that Devin has one. Now I'll connect this to Alan Apter and the Atlantic Council in a minute for all those who are jumping ahead. But let's see which Blackberry we drop, because you never know which Blackberry you're gonna get. Oh, look at the Blackberry I dropped. I spilled my coffee on myself earlier because I was so surprised by the Blackberry that I got out of the Teneo box. There's a guy named Leonid Vindman at Teneo. Leonid Vindman? Whoa. Wait a minute, George. Leonid Vindman, Teneo? Yeah. Leonid Vindman and Teneo. Wait, George, you're not talking about the two twins that did the takedown on Trump, right? You're talking about the younger brother, Leonid, the venture capital guy, the Unicredit guy, right? That's the guy you're talking about, right? Indeed it is. Atlantic Council, Alan Apter's best friend. Always chasing around Alan Apter to do translations for Alan Apter. You never know when we're gonna need to ship weapons, right? Yeah, Leonid Vindman, if you don't remember the story I did about Leonid Vindman, that was Unicredit. That's something else that Glenn Beck didn't have in his presentation. If you don't have Leonid, no coffee. You don't get the coffee out of the Teneo coffee pot. You don't figure out the case. And that was, after an hour and a half, Glenn, his 52,000 live viewers, he's saying, I don't know where the money went. Well, here's the answer for all those 52,000 live viewers who are all texting their senators, and in about half an hour, Glenn's going to be going into Chuck Grassley's office. He's going to say, I don't know where the money went. Well, here's the answer, Chuck Grassley. Here's the answer, the senator from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson. Here's the answer. We already know. Leonid Vindman, Unicredit. If you've been watching the channel, you know what countries those went to. You know Leonid was doing sanctions smuggling. You know Leonid was the guy who was sanctions smuggling. You already know that Unicredit, based in Cyprus, along with Burisma, was illegally shipping things to Iran. That sounds like a nuclear deal to me. And Libya, that sounds like a weapons deal to me. And Syria, that sounds like weapons again. Or if you wanted to take the stuff away from Gaddafi, his nuclear capability, and take the Syria stuff and take it to Iran, that could be that as well. So we don't know all the answers, but we have the financial audit trail that Glenn's looking for with Leonid Vindman. Again, what do we do when you get a Teneo Blackberry, right? We didn't know which one we were gonna get. We just picked it up off the ground. We connected the dots. And how do we do it? Well, you all remember how we connect the dots here at Teneo. You remember how we do it. We just put the coffee cups together. So now we have Leonid. This is easy. I mean, you could do this for kids at a birthday party, right? You have Leonid Vindman, Devin Archer, Hunter Biden, and Huma Abedin. I didn't have an Anthony Weiner coffee club. I don't think anybody would want to use that one. But you could put Anthony Weiner on there too if you wanted to throw Anthony Weiner in here. You could put a Hillary in here. You could put a Kerry in here on the coffee cup stack. You can put Heinz, Chris Heinz. You could put a lot of different people in the. Remember, there's 50 Blackberries, right? All right. So remember, why do we do this? Why did we do this? These are illegal actions. These are illegal actions. when we're gonna do a Manhattan Project for Iran and ship them a bunch of yellow cake and a bunch of centrifuges and a bunch of coordinate measuring machines and high-tech titanium and tungsten and beryllium and hafnium and all these exotic metals and alloys, those are all tracked by the Defense Technology Enforcement Agency, by the Department of Commerce, by the State Department, because we don't want Iran to have the bomb, right? So how are we going to be traveling all over the world, making all these deals happen, moving all these centrifuges from Gaddafi over to Iran to make that deal happen, to move the nuclear power plant in Syria over to Iran to make that happen, to get all the yellow cake out of Congo, make that happen? We're going to create all kinds of footprints. We want zero footprint. As a matter of fact, that's what they called the operation in Libya. That's why you have encrypted Blackberries. And the reason why you never know when you go into the Teneo box which one encrypted Blackberry you're going to get is because that creates anonymity. If I create just an L Blackberry for Leonid, and I create an H Blackberry for Hunter, and a D Blackberry for Devin, all I have to do is have H send a message to D. As a matter of fact, it's better with numbers. 5501 for Hunter, 5502 for Devin, 5503 for Leonid. 5555 to erase the phone, by the way. I interviewed a drug pilot in Pensacola. He said the first thing they did is give me a Blackberry and said the first thing you do, if anything happens, hit 5555, and that wipes the Blackberry. So now we got those three guys together, I think, along with Huma. All right. Who else we got in the Teneo box of Blackberries? The Teneo box of Blackberries, is that trending yet? Teneo box of Blackberries? You never know what you're gonna get. All right. Now, let's do another one, kind of fun. I'm sorry I didn't have more cups. The hotel was wondering if I was, sir, we're gonna charge you for those Teneo Blackberry cups. I mean, we're gonna charge you for those paper cups. So here's Doug Band. We know he's in Teneo. He's the one who said, hey, you got 50 different Blackberries. And by the way, he was the one who was saying they were using PIN messaging, which is device-to-device communication, so I don't have to say Hunter, so I don't have to say Devin, so I don't have to say Leonid, so I don't have to say Huma, so I don't have to say Anthony or Anthony Weiner's trusted staff. I can just say 5501, send a message. 5502, send a message. Uh-oh, here comes the Trump police, 5555. Wipe that phone, Imran Awam. So we're gonna put Doug Band now. Remember, you could go to Blaze TV and pay the big dollars and get all the whiteboards, but I like these coffee cups easier because it's easier for me. And Teneo ties the room together, it does it not, and their box of Blackberries. And plus, I remember my mother's accent from Alabama. It reminds me of Alabama when I can explain like a Sunday school teacher. He used to teach Sunday school. I never met my grandmother, Webb. But when being in Savannah, by the way, the Webb Military Museum here in Savannah, they're from Rome, Georgia, where my grandmother was from, Grandma Webb, but I never met her. Well, I'm gonna give you another little surprise here, because we are having fun here with the Teneo box of Blackberries, are we not? It kind of comes out, triples off the tongue, the Teneo box of Blackberries. The Teneo box of Blackberries is going to include one other person. If you watched the episodes 3 years ago, 2 years ago, and a year ago, you're going to see a guy named Jeff Esptein, also a part of the Teneo box of Blackberries. The Teneo box of Blackberries includes Jeff Esptein. Now, there's a little truth, a little secret that we all know here by the Teneo box of Blackberries that nobody else knows, is that Jeff's not a very good pilot at all. Matter of fact, there's a guy named Larry Vysotsky that runs the planes for Jeff Esptein. But that's not our mission today, to take down the reputation of Jeff Esptein. Our mission today is just to connect Jeff Esptein and Teneo to the box of Blackberries. So that's what we're gonna do right now, because remember, Teneo was also a travel agency and in Washington, D.C. And where did you get your box of Blackberries on your way out? Well, you got them from Anthony Weiner's trusted staff. So we're gonna put that Jeff Esptein Teneo cup in the box of Blackberries. Here we go. This is all going to happen live. We're going to do this live. So, and we must continue drinking our coffee as well. So there it goes. Devin Archer, we got Doug Band, we've got all your favorites. We got Devin Archer, Hunter Biden, Leonard Vindman, Doug Band, and there goes Jeff Esptein. Now you've got transportation. Now you've got transportation. I'll get it so you can see it. Now you've got transportation. And you've got secret transportation, or what we call in the spy business, covert transportation, don't you? Okay. So I'm imagining what Grandma Webb sounded like. So this is a little bit of a cathartic moment for me, because I never got to meet my grandma. But anyway, that's what the Teneo box of Blackberries is all about. All right, so let's have a sip of coffee from the Teneo box of Blackberries, just to reinforce the idea that Teneo is the linking force. It's the State Department cutout so that I can privatize all my pay-to-play information. And the Teneo box of Blackberries is getting a little cold. Well, we just had another Teneo box of Blackberry spill out. So which one's this? Let's get this one. What is this one? Oh, this is Alan Apter. You may not know Alan Apter very well. He's the Atlantic Council. He's the interface to NATO. He's the interface to pay-to-play NATO. He's also Teneo. So we need to put him into the Teneo box of Blackberries. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll put him in the Teneo box of Blackberries. Now, do you suppose with all these people from NATO and the Atlantic Council all in the box of Blackberries, do you think there's a connection possibly between the box of Blackberries and NATO and the Atlantic Council? And who would configure the box of Teneo Blackberries? Other than Dmitry Alperovich, none other than Dmitry Alperovich. And by the way, he went to school right here in Georgia, Georgia Institute of Technology in northern Georgia. So, and he currently lives in Florida, in Bradenton, not far from Sarasota and Khashoggi 1, or Adnan Khashoggi, where he did his business. Became the richest man in the world, selling weapons all over the world. I wonder if he used a Blackberry. I wonder if he used a Teneo box of Blackberries. Remember, Doug, I'll have to do a drop away now. Remember, Doug Band goes all the way back. Oh, that's Jeff Esptein. Well, Jeff Esptein goes all the way back as well with the Clintons, taking the Teneo people all over the world. But Doug Band goes all the way back to the Bill Clinton White House, right? We've got Doug Band with a box of Teneo box of Blackberries. So we're going to leave it right there. Again, I think that's a simpler explanation of how Teneo ties the room together. Again, you can, oh, beautiful bells. Let's listen. I'm thinking I would love to have sat next to my grandmother at church here in Savannah. Listen to those beautiful, beautiful bells of Savannah, all the wrought iron here. I don't know if you can hear that or not. All right, so, but do watch Glenn Beck. There's a lot of complexity. There's a lot of whiteboards. There's a lot of slide presentations. I better clean up here. I don't want Jeff Espstein's detritus all over the Teneo square here. But it does tie the room together. Now, for extra credit, there's always some students in the front that want extra credit. You're going to say, well, George, wait a minute. You were out there with task force, and you were going between the Teneo office and the 10X office and the Transportation Logistics office in Fulton, Maryland. Could it be that this Farsi-speaking trucking company with the two Farsi-speaking daughters and the two Iranian son-in-laws and the Russian-speaking wife and the uncle who had uranium crushers and the other uncle who had Kazakhstan uranium mines and gold mines, uranium close to gold a lot of times. All of those in one little small trucking company, they could have used these Blackberries too. If they wanted to keep secret mining operations out of the way for the yellow cake in Zambia, they could have used yellow cake too. And there is no Michael Lambert. You know, you don't remember Michael Lambert? Oh, I'll tell you who Michael Lambert was. Remember there was a guy in Zambia named Michael Lambert, and he had the African power symbol, and he painted his Teneo hand in the colors of the African flag, the African National Congress flag. You remember that? You may not remember that, but but there was a Michael Lambert there. Well, somebody this morning on Twitter told me there is no Michael Lambert. Mark Lambert did not have a son named Michael. And that is true. But he does have connections to the uranium business and the precious metal business on the London Mercantile Exchange. Now, if you were one of the sons-in-laws, let's say you were married to Mark Lambert's daughters and you were living in Iran, and a key part of shipping yellow cake, a desperately needed yellow cake from Congo, Tanzania, also Zambia, that's critical. It's just like the yellow cake here in the United States, just like the yellow cake in Kazakhstan. You got to get that yellow cake to Iran. Would you use the name, your Hezbollah terrorist name, to ship the yellow cake to Isfahan? No. Would you potentially use the name of your father-in-law and create a website so people knew how to get a hold of you, to meet you at the Teneo location in wherever that yellow cake was? We don't know the answer to that. I'm just saying, just because Mark Lambert didn't have a son, and there's another Mark Lambert who's crushing uranium in Zambia and Congo and Tanzania, doesn't necessarily mean sometimes people that are involved in illicit covert operations use a different name. So we don't have to add that in right now. That's for extra credit. That's for you kids up front that want that extra credit. The big idea here is Devin Archer with Burisma, Hunter Biden, Billy Bulger as well, Chris Hines, son-in-law of John Kerry, Huma Abedin, Doug Band, Bill Clinton. Remember who configured the server was Justin Cooper. All together here in the Teneo box of Blackberries. And that's for this morning. We're going to be going down to the AK-47 factory a little bit later, 2 different AK-47 factories, and we're going to find out that we have Russian companies. We brought Russian companies here with the Teneo box of Blackberries. Would you, if you were Adam Schiff and Peter Strzok, would you use the Teneo box of Blackberries too, to be anonymous? Would that be how you might have left traces at some places? Might that be how you left some traces at some places like the Redstone Arsenal for the missile part of the deal? Maybe that's the same reason that Lev Parnas left some traces at places at the same missile arsenal. Remember, if you're selling illegal Russian weapons to not only the Russian satellite states, and your name's Lev Parnas, it's nice. We're not speculating now. Remember, we have OKNY Ansky's own testimony saying he was 17 years. 17 years an FBI informant selling weapons. We're not speculating that this is their AK-47 factory. 2 AK-47 factories, one in Boca Raton, one a little bit north of there. We're going to go there. We always got one on wave to our overseas Russian or Ukrainian mobsters. So we're going to go to those factories. But do you suppose if they were already involved in shipping illegal weapons in Libya and Syria to steal stuff from Gaddafi, to steal stuff potentially from Assad? Also Sudan, remember Kofor Black in Sudan? That's another one we're going to tie to the Teneo box of Blackberries is Kofor Black. But he's smart enough not to put his name on the Blackberry, is he not? But anyway, if you are already dealing in the weapons for Libya and Syria and Sudan and Yemen, who would you use as your broker and go-between to Iran? Again, terrorist nation that you're not supposed to be dealing with. Remember, export controls, Department of Commerce, there's that DTSA out there that's watching all this stuff. There's that Office of Export Control over there at the Department of Commerce. They're all looking for this. They don't want you to be shipping stuff to Iran. Wouldn't you use the same guys that were already FBI informants? Wouldn't you already use OKNY Ansky? Wouldn't you already use Lev Parnas? Maybe that's why they left traces in places. You left traces in places. Not far from here, one state over, in Alabama at the Redstone Arsenal. The same place Werner von Braun started. Old munitions factory, turned it over into making the Redstone rockets, later on the Jupiter rockets, later on the Trident rockets. I wonder why, speaking of Trident, I wonder why when we did a deal, which I say is an Iranian deal in Port of Canaveral, but let's just say it's UAE. I wonder why when we did a deal with UAE, we put it in our heart, our hub of all the history in the United States. We put it in Canaveral, which is known for its missiles, not necessarily so much for its port, and also known for its Carnival Cruise Lines, different cruise lines, but not really known for being a port. You would pick Port of Tampa or Port of Miami or Port of Jacksonville. Why would you pick Port of Canaveral? Well, I wonder if there's a lot of people who know something about missiles there. I wonder if there's a Patrick Air Force Base. I wonder if there's a whole Navy contingent there that works on missiles and puts satellites into space. I wonder if Soleimani, you remember Soleimani, the guy Trump blew up, the guy who ran this whole organization, this whole spy ring to bring the Manhattan Project to Iran. You remember him? I wonder if he was smart enough to know that these missiles are fired from space. I wonder if he knows that these missiles are guided once they're fired from space. I wonder if he knows the target assessment, target acquisition, target identification, target verification is all done from space. Do you think he might have wanted a couple of satellites up there too? Maybe Elon Musk with SpaceX will put a few up for me, right? Maybe that's why it's there. Maybe they picked the Port of Canaveral because it's the next generation of nuclear submarines for our U.S. Navy after the Ohio class. Remember we went to Kings Bay, we all saw the boomer coming out of the water into the land. That was our analogy for having the BWXT, moving the BWXT reactor out of the water, putting it on the land for mining and oil, right? Gas, you can be used. You can use a reactor for both purposes, dual use, right? That was the Ohio class up at Kings Bay. Now we're moving down to Port Canaveral, our next generation of Trident submarine. Oh, by the way, the Navy's coming out with a new ballistic fired missile. So that's going to obsolete the old Trident II, which obsoleted the old Trident I. What are you going to do with the old Trident Is that are stored over there at the Redstone Arsenal? What are you going to do with the old Trident IIs as they start pulling those off the submarines in Charleston, South Carolina, the sister port of where we are in Savannah? Well, if you had a few criminals working for you, got a few criminals like Parnas and OK and Wyansky or Fruman, you could probably decommission those. You probably get a contract, if you know Imran, probably get an SBA contract to decommission those. So they're all sitting there at Redstone Arsenal or in South Carolina at the Navy Weapons Station. I should turn around here and show you the Teneo tree. You probably all want to see the Teneo tree. Wouldn't decommissioning be the best time to sell off the old inventory? What do you do when you buy a new car? What do you do with your old car? Do you trade it in? Sometimes you keep it because the dealer won't give you a good trade-in. Hey, I'll just keep that. I didn't pay for those Trident missiles. I didn't pay for those other missiles, Trident II missiles. I'll just keep them. I'll decommission them. I'll store them somewhere like Iran. And then I'll sell them. I'll resell them. I'll hire a few. I'll have Paul Wellen hire a few engineers. We'll figure it all out. We'll get that. Soleimani, we're going to get those Trident missiles working for you. If you notice how many Trident people are in this story, it's just kind of funny. Now, the end of this, we're end of the box of Teneo Blackberries. And now we're going to go on to the Trident. The Port Canaveral is a Trident nuclear submarine base. Bill Taylor, again, remember, he knows all about Imran Awan. He knows all about Anthony Weiner's twisted staff and trusted staff. He knows all about the Teneo box of Blackberries. I wonder if I should get a coffee cup for Gaunter. Hey, Matt, should I get you a coffee cup for the Teneo box of Blackberries? He knows all about that. Why, before he goes over with all the CIA marshmallow kids, remember there's a big trip that that Schiff and Strzok, you're going to find, is also the one planning this. Schiff and Strzok planned this trip to take all the CIA marshmallow kids over in August to set up Trump. Did anybody ever mention the fact that Bill Taylor, a month before, remember Bill Taylor, Teneo box of Blackberries, anybody ever mention that he was in Ukraine meeting with the defense officials a month before? I wonder who translated for him. Leonid, did you need a Blackberry from the box, Teneo box of Blackberries? I wonder who translated for him. But anyway, he met with Trident Defense. He's in a company called Trident Defense. Would that be a good way of creating a private pay-to-play with State Department information? Creating a company like Teneo, creating an encrypted network with the Blackberries. I could sell off, I could make money coming and going. I could make money decommissioning the missiles, and I could make money recommissioning the missiles. I can make money putting up new satellites. Just have a front organization like Elon Musk, SpaceX. You know, we're going to put something like, I can't remember how many satellites we're going to put up over the next 20 years, but it's in the thousands. It's like an amazing number. I think it's over 100,000 satellites are going to be going up over the next 20 years. So, you know, that's, we already know about the X band, the military band, the encrypted band, talking to the satellites. That's not going to be a problem. So we can put up a couple for Soleimani. If we, yeah, you know, he knows all the Club K are controlled from space. We know, people say, you know, that's speculation. That's speculation. Oh, this is a beautiful home over here. Right over here is the first school, I think, in Savannah. First school, I believe, right behind me. I interviewed a woman who played the first black woman doctor to graduate in the United States. I think it was right over here in this corner as a doctor. But people say that's speculation. You're attaching missiles to the port of Canaveral. Well, wait a minute. There was a Russian general by the name of Sechin, right, who Carter Page seemed to be able to meet easily during the 2016 campaign. And he did do a deal called Club K, and those missiles are controlled from space, are they not? Wouldn't that be a great place to sell missiles controlled from space? From NASA Space Center, where they also have Trident missiles? Wouldn't you reuse the same kind of communications that submarines use to fire missiles from a box? Wouldn't you could use the satellites to communicate to some kind of ground station, the ground station relay, to have a good communications link? Wouldn't you use the same things that submarines use to communicate, to talk to satellites for war? Anyway, that's getting a little bit, that's beyond the Teneo box of chocolates. But with those bells, I'll think of my grandmother, beautiful Savannah down here. Come out, check it out. We're going to be going to Leonid Vindman's, or excuse me, Lev Parnas's AK-47 factory. Remember also, steps away from Lev Parnas's AK-47 factory. Remember, we're not just shipping to ISIS and Quds Force anymore. We're also shipping to NATO. This is an innovation that Struck and Schiff have put together. We're shipping to NATO through this AK-47 factory that I'm going to. We're shipping Russian manufacturer in Boca Raton, or very close to Lev Parnas's Boca Raton, and shipping to NATO, and NATO ammunition. And there's another factory, arsenal, in Las Vegas, for whom the bell tolls, right behind me. So, but also Paul Whelan. Also Paul Whelan, the guy who's, you know, kind of walking around the Kremlin. Hey, John, thank you very much. Paul Whelan, the guy who's walking around the Kremlin trying to find people who have experience in submarines, experience in missiles, experience in cryptography. Same guy. Do you think Dmitry Alperovich might want to hire a few of those people? So we'll leave it there, but Paul Whelan and Lev Parnas steps away from each other, the two AK-47 factories, and that's Harry the Greek and his great research. So we'll leave it right there. Thanks, everyone. We'll have to edit out the glitches we had at the beginning of this, but life is like a Teneo box of Blackberries, is it not?